Hi guys, it's me. I want to talk about BC. And if anyone thinks of BC in technical terms, it's usually referred to regarding timelines and things like that. BC, usually according to the Bible, meant before Christ. So, before BC is before Christ, AD is after death. So it's usually years, etc. will go according to BC or AD. So that's just a little bit of history that I've learned that I wanted to share. But most important, I want to talk about BC in different terms, and that is BC, which means before children, and how life before children, before getting married, before all of the responsibilities as adult, we have had our lives, and we've been allowed to. Some of us have been allowed to, experience things and go on trips and just be ourselves. It's before the identity of being a mom or a dad took place, and it's just the way it is. But I want to talk about when you have had children and now you're on the next stage of your life when they've flown the coop or they're no longer around, and you either have a relationship or you don't. What do you do? well, how were you BC? What was your life BC before you had children? What kind of things did you enjoy? Because a lot of times, before children, you had your interests, your music, your things you like to do, and hobbies and friends and whatever. Maybe you had kids young, so you didn't really get to experience what it was like to be single in your 20s. And maybe you had children when you were 30, so then you had all of your 20s to, get established and do your thing and, maybe travel and this and that. But what happens, after your children are gone and now you're wondering, what do I do? Well, the one thing you can do is say, what was it like before I had children? BC, before children. What did I like to do? Or maybe you were raised in a home where you didn't really have an individual presence, or you weren't allowed to make choices, and your BC wasn't as fulfilling as what you would have liked to have been, or you saw things on television and you said, oh, I wish my family was like this or that. So and now we're AC after children, and you're sitting in your house and maybe you're working and maybe you're retired, and you say, well, what am I going to do? Well, really important is you can pick up where you left off many years ago before BC, before children. You can start to do fun things again, and you can start to reach out and have a new life after children are gone and after they've grown up and moved away, and maybe they're living in different parts of the world and country and etc. What do you do? Well, what I did was I retired when I was 47, so I was really young when I retired. But after my children left, I started to do a lot of things to reestablish my individuality, my who I was before children, BC. And I started going to concerts, and I started doing more art, started to paint. I started to join groups and make friends, and I traveled by myself. Did a little road trip. Went down to Carbondale, Illinois. Then I went to Nashville, Tennessee, Asheville, North Carolina, drove home, and just had a nice little trip and didn't have a lot of snafus. I didn't even have a new car. The car I had was a 92 Toyota Paseo, and I cruised all over in that thing and just had a great time. Um, just got to really, yeah, I forgot where it was. I don't remember if it was in Asheville or Nashville, but I remember someone said, oh, you got to go slide down this rock wall. It's, in this area. And I went, and it literally were these huge boulders along the side of not a river, but there was water flowing down from the top to the bottom. So you just started at the top, and it was smooth. So you slid right down, and it was so much fun. There were just little things I started doing, but what happens when they're gone? What do you do with yourself? A lot of times when you have children, you decide that you have to put everything under wraps. You have to put things on hold, which is normal. But then when they're gone, you can rediscover who you were BC, before children. You can, start to integrate your previous interests, and you can start to have new interests, the AC interests, things you never decided to try, if it's food. Or I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Meetup, or there's different groups where you can actually meet up with a group of people and start to meet people with similar interests or of things you'd like to do. So then you can go out and meet people and be in a group and maybe make a couple of friends that way. But all I know is we are not meant to hold on to our children forever. They are not meant to live at home with us. We are meant to have them and raise them so they can go off on their own and have their lives as adults, so they can make decisions and do things and have the same experiences or different experiences according to what their idea of fun or imagination or discovery or exploring is. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Think of your life before you had children. Then you raise your children. Like the first 20 years of my life was BC. And then the second 20 years was DC during the time I had children. And then now I'm in the AC portion of my life, the after children stage. So life is grand. I have peace. I do things that I really like to do. I planted a beautiful garden up in front of my home, and people come over and they really enjoy it, and they stop and smell the roses and the flowers that I planted. So that's what I wanted to talk about. BC, DC, and AC. It doesn't matter what stage you're in, but after you have children and when they're gone, it's time to rediscover you, and it's time to have fun. Easier if you're single. Easier if you also have a certain amount of income. Even if you don't have a certain amount of income, there are still things you can do that add to your life that don't cost a whole lot. So that's all I wanted to talk about. I hope everyone's having a great day, and we'll talk with you soon. Bye-bye.